Hare Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakhaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Gita Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamritamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagannate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwapanam Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhudevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Everyone together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Once more loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. On behalf of the family of Krishna Kripa, I'd like to welcome everyone to the funeral ceremony of His Grace Krishna Kripa Prabhu, known by others as Shamsair Boodoo. But I think over the years, that name Krishna Kripa is known by almost everyone, especially us in the Hare Krishna movement. He served as the temple president of our ISKCON South Center for many, many years. And was very instrumental in the Krishna consciousness of many devotees throughout Trinidad. And one of the testaments of his caliber as an individual is, practically speaking, his entire family, all devotees as well. When a devotee passes away, well, first thing is this material body cannot be saved by any amount of effort any of us can make. We can perhaps disguise some of the effects that the body is going through, but the body ultimately cannot be preserved. Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita that there are 4 inherent problems in this material world. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Dosha, Anudarshana. And one who is intelligent, they will scrutinize and will try to understand the nature of this place and these problems that each and every one of us has to contend with. Generally, is something that is celebrated. A baby is born. But in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, well, that's a problem. Why? Because when we take birth within this material world, it is an unnatural situation for the soul. Birth describes the coming into existence of this particular body. But it's an unnatural existence for the soul, because the soul by nature is such an ananda, but is limited within a body, which is asat, achit, and nirananda. Asat means it is temporary, achit means it is full of ignorance, and nirananda means it is a source of problems. If we're introspective, we can analyze that. The effort it takes that we have to put in just to get a little bit of happiness in this world is disproportionate. So it is the beginning of the other problems that we experience in this life. Janma, Mrityu, it culminates in the demise of the material body. And in between we have two more to contend with that gives us signposts along the way. Vyadhi, all of us become afflicted by disease at some point in time. And Mrityu, we become old. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. These are the real problems that each and every one of us have to face with on a daily basis. So the soul, by its very nature, is aloof from these things. Krishna says in the Gita, Natwevaham jatu nasam natvam nene janadipama. That never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, speaking to Arjuna. Nor all these kings who have gathered here on the battlefield. Nor in the future shall there be a time when we shall cease to exist. Certainly Krishna isn't speaking about the body. He's speaking about the soul. We have experience in this body. He says in the subsequent verse, Dehi no sminyata dehi kaumaram yovanam jara tata dehantara praptam dhiras tatra na mohiti. That in this body, dehi naha, we have the experience that the body goes through changes from boyhood to youth to old age. And the ultimate change of the body that we experience is the change that takes place at the time of death, when the soul is no longer able to inhabit the body. The soul leaves the body. And therefore, from the very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, from the very beginning of our Shastras, that distinction between the body and the soul is given. It is foundational to any path one would take in the Vedic culture. Whether one is a karma kandi, whether one is a jnana kandi, whatever. The foundation of it all is we are not the body. The perfection of one's existence is that one surrenders to the Lord. Samsiddhi haritoshana. That he makes that endeavor to offer his life in the service of the Lord. This is called Bhakti Yoga. It is direct, and Krishna recommends it very strongly in the Bhagavad Gita. Manmana bhava mat bhakto mat yaji maam namaskuru. It's interesting what Krishna says. Priyoshime. One who does these things, remembers me, thinks of me, worships me, offers his obeisances to me. That person comes to me. Why? Because he's very dear to me. He's very dear. Srila Prabhupada in one purport in the Srimad Bhagavatam, just like there are different gotras, there's Gautama Gotra, Paulastya Gotra, and so on, described in the Vedic histories. And we can trace our existence back to one of these lines. But for Vaishnavas, we are known as the Achyuta Gotra. And Srila Prabhupada gives such a beautiful definition of Achyuta Gotra in Srimad Bhagavatam. He says to be in the Achyuta Gotra means to be in the family of the Supreme Lord. Such a beautiful thing. To become God's family member. It is said in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Pitamaha asya jagato, mata data pitamaha. And I'm the father, I'm the mother. And there's different prayers that devotees sing, where they glorify the Lord as such. And I find that very significant because it is very personal. That's like sometimes we have that exchange among friends. You know, we say, that person is not just my friend, he's family. We might not be blood related, but that person is family. Why? Because of the closeness of the relationship that we share. So to be a Chuta Gotra means that we enter into the family of the Lord. And Krishna takes care of his family members as the supreme patriarch. He takes care of his family members. He likes to do it. Krishna says, I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in commenting on that, he presents a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna. What do you mean that no? Krishna says, no, I don't see it as a burden. I take that as a responsibility of someone taking care of his loved one. Krishna says like that, how he reciprocates with his devotees. I take care of that. I'm not forced. I'm not compelled because of what they do. But they offer me their love, and I give myself to them in return. Such assurances you will not find in any other place. There's a very beautiful verse that glorifies what it means to be a devotee. Tulayam lavenapi na swarga na punarbhava. Bhagavad sangi sangasya. That tula, that's like, you know, sometimes people listen to, you know, Hindu radio stations, and I remember there was one prominent Hindu astrologer, used to be a Pandit Purnima. He would come on to read the morning astrology, and he would give, you know, Karak Rashi and, you know, Singha Rashi. But there's one called Tula Rashi. What's the meaning of Tula? Tula means scale, right? We use a scale for the balance. Right? So Tulayam lavenapi. A lava means a very small fraction of time. Very small fraction of time. Less than 1 second. I think, if I remember correctly from the Canto of Bhagavatam, a lava means 1/11th of 1 second. And nimesha is another unit of time, which means the time it takes to blink the eye. Nimesha. A lava means 1/11th of 1 second. So what is this being compared to? So you take 1/11th of 1 second, Bhagavad Sangi Sangasya, associating with a devotee, and you put that on one side of the scale. And then you take Swargam Punarbhavam. Swargam means attainment of the heavenly planets. What is attainment of the heavenly planets? That is the perfection of karma. The perfection of karma is to attain Swarga. Punarbhavam means liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Liberation from the cycle of birth and death is the perfection of Jnana. So you put that on the other side of the scale. The perfection of karma and the perfection of Jnana. To go to the heavenly planets and to ultimately be free from revolving in this ocean of birth and death. Perfection of karma, perfection of Jnana. And you put 1/11th of a second association with the devotee on the other side. And perfection of karma and Jnana cannot shift it. The scale remains imbalanced. What is the significance of that? Because associating with the devotee is not the perfection of devotional service, it is the beginning. When one begins to associate with devotees, he has already surpassed the perfection of karma and the perfection of Jnana. This is the benediction of taking shelter of Krishna. And Krishna says in the Gita, Neha Pikramana Shoshti Pratyavayana Vidyate Swalpam Apyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhaya. Alpa means little. Just a little. If you just do a little bit of bhajan for Krishna, that never goes away. Never goes away. Everything else has to be resumed in a future life. Education has to start. Capacity for earning wealth has to start from fresh. But bhajan to Krishna never decreases. Srila Prabhupada comments in that regard, if you do 1% or 5%, in your next life you start from the position of 5%. At the time of death, oftentimes, it creates a lot of confusion in the consciousness. What is that confusion? What happens to that person who passed away? Persons become very introspective. Persons become very thoughtful. What will happen? There's a term for it known as smarshana vairagya. They come up and renounced. But smarshana means crematorium. So crematorium renunciation. It's the effect on the passing of someone in our life. It creates up that introspection, that renunciation, to want to go deeper, but oftentimes we experience that in the crematorium, but it also departs from us in the crematorium. As soon as we step out, that idea goes away and we go back to our lives as normal. But if we take stock of it and maintain that type of consciousness, we want to go further. It's a great stepping stone. And persons, sometimes because of that confusion, especially in the Vedic culture, there are many different rites and rituals which are performed when someone passes away. I always make this point because I've experienced this personally. And many of us must have experienced this personally as well. When someone passes away, there's often that discussion, if this pandit did it right, they left out something, this pandit is better for that. It may or may not be. I'm not here to comment on that. But the idea is that they are very concerned what happens to that person after death. Let us do something now, after the person has died, to ensure that they get a better future in the next life. I'm of the strong opinion that if that is what we are waiting for, then the horse has already left the table and is far down the track. It is better to do it now. That is what Krishna consciousness is. Doing it now. One of the main functions that we perform after the departure of anyone in the Vedic culture is especially on the 13th day, which signifies the start of the journey of that soul, the Yamaraja, to its future. Who is worshipped? Krishna. When we take the body and generally, Ram Nam Satya Hai. The name of Ram is eternal. Another bhajan that is sung sometimes, Kitna tu karna Swami jab pranatan se nikle. Govinda nama leke. Take Govinda nama. But that's what we do as devotees. We chant the name of Govinda every day. Every day. And when we take that, that is the assurance that Krishna gives. If you turn to me, I'll take care of you. In the Ramayana, Lord Ram says like that. Vibhishan crosses over from Lanka to join the camp of Ram. And it creates a bit of a stir, even amongst the followers of Ram, that if this person could abandon his own brother, when we go to sleep at night, he may assassinate and wreak havoc in our camp. And Lord Ram allows them to speak, because he asks their opinion. What do you think we should do? Now he came, give me your opinion. What we should do in this regard with Vibhishan. And Lord Ram says a very beautiful verse, that the followers of Ramanujacharya and the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, they, ad nauseum, they comment on this verse trying to reach the depths of its meaning. Sakradeva prapanayas tavasmi ichi yachate abhayam sarvadatasmai dadami etat vratam mama. What Ram says. That Sakradeva, if only once someone stands in front of me and says, I surrender unto you, my Lord. Sakradeva Prapanna. That if only once one surrenders unto me, I give them my protection. Abhayam sarvada tasmai. That person should walk in this world free of fear. This is my solemn vow. Dadami etat vratam mama. I take this vow. So when someone surrenders unto Krishna, his future is assured. And faith means to have the confidence or the courage to test Krishna's promises that he has made in so many places in the Bhagavad Gita, that him and his devotees have made in so many places in the Shastra. So Krishna Kripa was one such person. He dedicated his life to the service of the Lord, and therefore his future is assured. The minimum guarantee Srila Prabhupada mentions in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, commenting in the Nectar of Devotion, is that a human birth is guaranteed in the next life. Anybody who takes the process of Krishna consciousness. Minimum guarantee. And in that birth, he continues his spiritual journey in deepening and solidifying his relationship with Krishna. So with those few words, I'll stop, and there are other family members who will. I think Rasa Mataji will deliver eulogy, some history of Krishna Kripa Prabhu, and then other family members will speak, after which we'll do the ceremony.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto all Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Hare Krishna. My service this morning is to give a brief biographical account of the life of His Grace Krishna Kripa Das, also known as Shamsair, Seeram, Boodoo, and policeman. He is commonly known at Gandhi village as Seeram, or policeman. He was the firstborn son of Boodoo Kalpo, aka Sadhu, and Sanitary Boodoo, both of whom were Karani employees. He had 5 siblings, 3 brothers and 2 sisters. He started his primary education at what is now called the Hermitage Presbyterian School, and would commute to school every day by foot from Gandhi village to Hermitage and back. He later moved to the Debe Hindu School, which officially opened in 1952, and completed his primary school education there. Up to recently, he has been sharing memories of him being the best student in his classes. He always had a high regard for education, and even though he was unable to physically attend a secondary school, he undertook O-level studies via mail correspondence with the University of Cambridge. He excelled at all his subjects, and upon receiving his certificate, he applied for a teaching job and to the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. In the meantime, in 1962, he got married to Babunde Boodoo, also known as Swetadi Devidasi, my mom, and he continued living at his parents' home in an extended family. He finally secured a teaching position as a biology teacher at Astra Boys College, San Fernando. This was short-lived though, only lasting 3 months. He was accepted into the training program for becoming a police officer. The salary at that time was also a few dollars better. He worked as a police officer, gradually rising to the status of corporal, and refusing to become sergeant because of all the heavy responsibilities. He worked throughout Trinidad and oftentimes would share his intriguing adventures. Besides his professional life, he was actively involved in community projects through the village council to improve the supply of roads and electricity in the village, and also was the temple president of the now Arjuna Draupadi temple. So he became temple president long before becoming temple president here. He contributed to and assisted many people in whatever way possible. At home, he always had his collection of books, on his areas of interest. This was something he always kept with him, a collection of books. On electronics, magic, and even books from the Sai organization, which he was once pursuing. When he started attending the Hare Krishna temple at St. Augustine in the late 1970s, many of those books were replaced by Srila Prabhupada's books. The 3-volume paperback Krishna book, Bhagavad Gita, numerous small books, and most prominently, every issue of BTG. He had a BTG collection, which I ruined. He and the family were very much involved in the opening of the Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Mandir at Londonville, and he accepted his grace Satsvarup Das Goswami Maharaj as his guru. Our home was also converted into a mini temple, with Bhoga offerings, Tulsi Puja, and Sandhya Arati going on a daily basis. At some point, there were even mini Sunday feasts. He was able to inspire many persons, friends and relatives, to take to some form of Krishna consciousness and to chant the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All during this time, he was also printing single-handedly and distributing a local ISKCON newsletter. He continued this even long after becoming temple president here. Upon his retirement in 1991, at age 50, he traveled and visited Bhaktivedanta Manu among many places in the UK and Canada, and on returning, took up the reins of temple president here at ISKCON South Center. He revived the Life Membership Program and initiated the Food for Life and school preaching and village preaching programs. He served as temple president from that time until about, say, last year, 2001, when his health started declining. He always spoke about dying with his boots on, in the true spirit of a Kshatriya. During his Grihastha life, he carried out household duties conscientiously, with great care, and did his very best in providing for his family, and by extension, the community, and literally everyone he came into contact with. He touched many, many lives, and many still refer to him as Babi. Now on his passing, he will definitely be fondly remembered by us, and all the persons he impacted. I pray that Srila Prabhupada, Sri Srinidhi Gaurachandra, and Sri Sri Radha Gopinath bless and protect him to always remember Krishna and never forget him. Here I quote a stanza written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explaining the influence a Vaishnava carries in this world even after his departure. He reasons ill who tells that Vaishnavas die, when thou art living still in sound. The Vaishnavas die to live, and living try to spread the holy name around. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Srinidhi Gaurachandra ki jai, Sri Sri Radha Gopinath ki jai. So personally, since his passing, I have been overwhelmed and flooded with so many memories and thoughts and emotions. So I just wanted to share this little exchange I used to have with him as a child. After joining the Hare Krishnas, our greeting at home, even with my cousins and my uncles and everybody would greet each other Hare Krishna. So when we go into school every morning, whoever is dropping us, Hare Krishna uncle, Hare Krishna dada, Hare Krishna mami, Hare Krishna babi. And same thing would happen when we come home. Not only us, but all my cousins across everybody. So everybody got into that, and I think it still continues up to now. Even my cousins across the road, Hare Krishna. So when he used to work as a police, he would have shifts. So every time he's leaving the house, I would make sure that I'm in position, at least close to the car, to tell him Hare Krishna Papi, to make sure, just as my last words to him, every time he's leaving and every time he returns home. So I remember one evening he was about to leave, and I wasn't sure whether he was going to work or not. But again, I went to my usual spot, to make sure that I'm available to tell him Hare Krishna Papi. So he sat in the car, and I said, Hare Krishna Papi. And then he just said that he's not going to work today. So I felt a little bit embarrassed, because he wasn't leaving really, he was just coming back. And I guess today is my final opportunity to say Hare Krishna Papi.
So now we call upon, thank you, Prasanapu. We call upon Padmavara Devi Dasi. She will be singing a bhajan and sharing her memory.
Krishna. Actually, singing this bhajan, my father used to sing a lot of Hindi bhajans. I was trying to find the lyrics of a certain Hindi bhajan that he used to sing all the time, as well as Ajay used to sing it all the time. But I was only able to get 2 lines. So I'm singing one of his favorite Bengali bhajan. He had taught me this bhajan. I think sometime back we had done a recording also of this bhajan on a CD, but I can't find the CD anywhere. I even can't find the track anywhere. So I'm attempting. I've learned, like singing, he used to always tell me that he's very proud of me because I have his voice. I have a girl version of his voice because he used to always be proud of his voice also, his singing. So he used to say, like, I learned singing from him. So I would like to dedicate this bhajan, this Bengali bhajan, to my father. And I sure Mother Jai Lalita is the only one might be knowing the words. So you can join with us. Dule dule goda chan hari gun gaye. Dule dule goda chan hari gun gaye. Dule dule goda chan hari gun gaye. I'll just read the translation of this bhajan. The moonlight god Gauranga Chandra arrives in Vrindavan while dancing, swaying to and fro, and singing the glories of Lord Hari. The creepers adorning the trees of Vrindavan are overwhelmed with the ecstatic love as they are speaking about the glories of Lord Hari. Flocks of birds who live in the groves are swinging the names of Hari. Lord Gauranga says, Hari, Hari. A female parrot responds, Hari, Hari. And then all the female parrots start singing the loud chorus of the names of Hari. Becoming intoxicated by the holy name, the deer comes forward from out of the forests. The peacocks and the peahens are dancing and frolicking in ecstatic love. Lord Hari is in his heart. Lord Hari is in his meditation. And he always chants the name of Hari with his voice. Gaura Chandra is intoxicated by ecstatic mellows and rolls around on the ground while singing the Harinam. Arriving on the banks of the Yamuna River, he dances wildly while chanting, Hari, Hari. Mother Yamuna becomes so ecstatic that she arises and comes forward to wash the lotus feet of Lord Gauranga. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for that beautiful bhajan. We now invite Lingo, the eldest son of Krishna Boodoo, to read his offering.
Hare Krishna, everybody. I was thinking about this over and over in my head last night, all day yesterday, thinking what I can say about my father. And I realized that there's so much to say about him. And everybody here has their own personal experiences with him. So I just wrote a few words, B.O.P. Papi, our father. And a father like to so many of you here today. I am confident that he has had an immense influence, not only on our lives, but the lives of many of you as well. Each of you would have your own personal experiences and interactions with him. And I'm sure that you have all heard his stories, and there were many of them. As a small child, I remember the excitement and the joy I would feel to see Papi coming home from work after being away for 2 or 3 days at work at the police station. My sisters and brothers were not even born yet. Up to today, as a grown man, I feel the same excitement and joy and love for my father whenever I visit him to the temple, as that little child. Growing up and starting primary school at Devi Hindu, my father has instilled in me the importance of education and hard work. Furthermore, this was not simply his words telling me. Papi showed it, he lived it. He had educated himself through correspondence courses, as Rasa noted, and that education provided the foundation for him to become a teacher and a policeman and eventually to what we know him as today. I followed his love for education and followed his instructions as best I could. Papi studied the sciences, math, geography, history, electronics, religion and philosophy, and finally Krishna conscious philosophy. I remember I could sneak down and steal some of his books from the cabinet downstairs and try to learn some electronics myself, but I was never good at it. He actually built a TV once. I've learned from him by following him, seeing his strength and his determination and perseverance in everything that he did. His ethics, his kindness and his compassion, and his dedication to family. He and my mother have been my teacher or guru throughout my life. I personally do not need or want any other. Papi had an immense capacity to bring joy in our lives, not only to my sisters and brothers, but also to all my cousins growing up. This capacity of his to bring joy extended to all his grandchildren and will influence their lives in its own way. There were also harsh words and hurt feelings, but this was meant to make us better and stronger and help me to develop into who I am. Papi took me for the first time to visit Shushma, my wife. And I remember the first visit while we were talking, getting comfortable, trying to know each other. Papi would just blurt out, "I'm tired, it's my bedtime, time to go." That put a damper on things. But this was typical of Papi. Papi usually gets what he wants. Papi gave names to our children, and I deliberately asked him to do so, completely trusting in his wisdom. Our first is Satyavati, named after Vyasdev, and Satya has written a few words of dedication to her grandfather. Just give me a minute to get it in order. Satya wrote, "My grandfather was a great man who told me lots of stories. I loved listening to all his adventures as a policeman and hearing about his bravery, courage, and kindness. I look up to those qualities in him. Reminiscing on memories and moments with him will always put a smile on my face." My second child, Papi also named. He named him Sanat Kumar, one of the 4 sons of Lord Brahma. And this is what Sanat says to his grandfather. "My grandfather was someone who I wanted to always make proud. Amongst his many grandchildren that he was able to teach and guide our lives as well as we have it today, it's with great sorrow that he had passed away. But in the end, he had fought many battles of life, dealing with occasional family matters and health problems, but in the end, it's best that he had a peaceful passing around his loving family at home. He was someone who knew when someone was pure or not. Being a retired policeman, it was always nice to hear the stories that he had, and seeing his shiny uniform, which in some way influenced me to the type of person I want to be in my life. Being someone who does the right, regardless of the rules or anyone else, and provides for those in need. Sanat wants to follow his grandfather's footsteps. He just turned 18, and he joined the Canadian Armed Forces. I have one more to read, and it's actually from my wife, Shushma, who wants to say something about her father-in-law. For my father-in-law. My experience as a daughter towards my father-in-law was the most blessed one. From the very first beginning, when our family came together, it all felt as if Krishna had placed me in the most perfect care. My father-in-law was always loving, respectful towards me, and he would repeat to me like a mantra every time I would speak to him, she would speak to him. "You're looking young and nice. Take care of my son and grandchildren." And then he would remind his son, me, to do the same. As family was the most important to him, and I saw how he valued that through his actions. And towards his children and grandchildren, and basically everybody in general. I love my father-in-law, and I pray that Sri Krishna can take full care of him now that he is in his hands. In life, I have felt that the things that really stay with us is the thing that deeply touches our heart. And I can keep on writing how wonderful my dear father-in-law was and how knowledgeable he kept himself. But it would never be enough to sum it up in that special way. He made me feel special. His presence was always blessed, which was pure, and most importantly, his unconditional love. And this is my appreciation to him. Om Shanti, 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 Hare Krishna to you, my dear father-in-law. I also have two smaller daughters, Renuka and Shriya, and we love you, grandfather, and you will always remain in our hearts. Finally, in closing, I would just like to say that I talk to my father a lot by WhatsApp. And after our discussion, we had a way of saying goodbye to each other. And I'm going to say it to him now. Papi, could I have this firmly? We always ended like that. Go with God, and we will see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I call upon Radha Govinda from Panama. You can make her offering.
Hare Krishna. So I'm going to read my offering first, and then I will read my kids who also sent something. As a child growing up, my father was the Indiana Jones or the James Bond of the movie. He was fearless, daring, exciting, and lived a life full of adventures. Just going on a walk could turn into something of suspense and exciting. A remembrance. While going on a morning walk on an ordinary day, it turned into a movie scene in just a few minutes. We were walking in a deserted road, and from a distance, we noticed that some thieves were scrapping a car. These were the moments that gave him joy. He immediately told us, "Be quiet," and turned around quietly. We complied, and once we were at a safe distance, he ran towards the house to get his gun. With a father so daring, we always felt protected. Another day, we were accompanied by our parents, which consisted, our parents were very special. We had my mom, my stepmoms were to read, and my dad. So we were always a very special family. So we went out to cut grass for the cows. While the women were cutting the grass, Param, I, and Papi, we were sitting in the car. Suddenly, Param noticed a stranger that was coming towards the car and shouted, "Papi, a man!" Without a moment's hesitation, Papi got out of the car and began to pursue the man. When he couldn't find the man, he came back to the car, took out his gun, and began to fire shot into the air. I remember boasting to people at school, "You know, my father has a gun." His personality was one of a macho man, and he was very proud to show off his talents to everyone, mostly women. He was very strong-willed, and when he entered the room, silence followed. Besides his personality of being courageous, he had a very tender side to him. He rarely displayed it, but when he did it, it made someone feel amazing. I think he did not discover the power, the impact his words had, and one could find oneself living a whole life trying to please him. Some of my favorite memories of him is his talented ability to tell a story. He would weave details into a story so expertly that my cousins, my siblings, and I would sit in a rapt attention, catching every word he would say. The most memorable stories for me were Shanti the Ghost and the Headless Horseman of Dumfries Road. I was a person who was scared of my own shadow. So after hearing these stories, I could not move. My cousins, who lived right across the road, would be so scared to even go over to their house that they would have to be escorted over by us. These were rare treats and was appreciated by everyone. Only when I was much older did I understand that he was making up those stories on the spot, inventing the scenes as he narrated. Even when he recounted his encounters with thieves and criminals, he would paint it so colorful that one would be eager to hear it. He always portrayed himself as the hero, the man every woman wanted, the giver of justice, the protector, and the fearless. So as a child, I would feel proud that he was my father. He always narrated to me a scene that I don't have any remembrance of, but it starts with me rolling down the hill of Blue Basin waterfall. Apparently, we were going on a family trip, and he noticed that there were some men who he had previously arrested. His first instinct was to protect his family, so everyone started running down the hill back to the car. The highlight of the story is the breeze blowing me down the hill and me tumbling down, and he had to save me. Another one of his heroic acts. My most favorite remembrance of him is sometimes, in order to water the plants, a hose will be connected to our pond. This was bigger than a regular hose, so after watering the plants, he would take the hose and spray us all down, all the kids, and we would be laughing and being so excited. Sometimes, he would just pile us, the kids, and take us to volcanoes, waterfalls, museums, zoos. He would take us to the most amazing places. He spoke very little, or displayed very little physical emotions. Rather, this was his way of showing his love. He was quite progressive in his way of thinking, and he always encouraged us to fully embrace education. At one point, during one of his trips to Canada, he bought me an iconic zip outfit. It was filled of zip. every part of the outfit. So when I moved to Panama, he would call me and sometimes say, Radhe, I dreamt you last night with your zip outfit that I had bought you in Canada. I would be transported to a beautiful childhood that was filled with love and care. Other times, he would call me and say, Radhe, you know you are my favorite child, right? I would say, thank you, Papi, I know that. I felt always very grateful for his love and his attention. He went through many phases of hobbies. So sometimes it was magic, then it was reading hands, at some point witchcraft, and his love for fax machine and a good pen. These were his things. He would talk about it with so much gusto that everyone would be excited, especially his old record player. I am sure almost everyone sitting here has had an opportunity to go into his room and hear an old record of singing, of Manade or whoever he liked so much. Some days he would pile us all and kids in the car and head out to rent VHS movies. The kids, we would always insist on two movies, which was Willow and Hara Hara Mahadev. He would sit and watch these movies with us, and I remember his contagious love. Sometimes my mother would tell him, why didn't you rent some other movie? And he would reply, these are what the kids wanted. His displays of love were always very subtle. His voice was one that made us quiver, and in front of him, we were the most well-behaved. When he would come home from work, everyone would become silent. His personality was strong and determined, and his ideas were innovative and revolutionary. While there are so many other memories of him, these are my most cherished ones. Therefore, I choose to remember him as this. Loves, Radhe. Now I will read off my kids. This is first from Gayatri. Dear Papi, I will always remember your smile and how you were so proud of me. I am grateful to have you, that I had you in my life, and I pray that your soul will find eternal happiness. Loves, Gayatri. And this is from Dhruv. My sincere condolences to the family and to everyone. I always knew him as a cool, badass, and retired police officer who had a gun. I am very happy to have known him in such a bright light. I remember once, when he was in Panama, he pulled out his prosthetic leg just to show us, and we, the children, got a bit scared. But what I admire most about him is that he managed to make jokes out of serious situations that he was in. He showed me that he was fearless, brave, and strong. What he means to me is someone who is special, that will be missed by all of the family that he was part of. Rest in peace, Papi. Thank you for being part of my life. And finally, this is of Prahlad. I always considered Papi a fighter. From being a police officer to being an amputee, he always persevered through these struggles. I remember when he came to Panama during Ratayatra, I asked him how he had felt regarding his leg. He only responded using words of reassurance and never spoke of negativity or complained about it. I cannot say that we were very close throughout his life, as I haven't visited Trinidad in a long time. I think this is a complaint of Prahlad. I see Papi's actions and attitude as inspirations in a certain manner, considering his mentality of overcoming situations. I hope Lord Krishna protects him and may he rest in peace. Prahlad. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Brother Governor. Call upon
Shamsair and the kids.
Shamsair Prabhu, please come and speak. Your office.
Hare Krishna. There is so much that I could talk about Papi that it would even have an end. I have known him for almost 17 years, and this is my little message to him. The soul is neither born nor dies. At any time it does not come into being or cease to be. It is unborn, eternal, and forever. The soul is not destroyed when the body is. So Papi, Haribo, this body must end to herald a new beginning, the beginning of a new attempt, a new opportunity to get closer to Krishna. You are the strongest person I ever know. Nothing in life ever knocked you down. That was because your faith in Sri Krishna was bigger than Govardhan Hill. You showed us love in a tough way only because you wanted us to be soldiers of Srila Prabhupada's mission. Your life and soul was totally surrendered to the mission of Mahaprabhu. One evening during last week, I sat in amazement looking at you in so much pain, and you asked me, Sham, put me to sit up so I can chant my Gayatri. In all that pain, you chanted your Gayatri and looked at the image of Sri Krishna on the wall. Without pain, Papi, you chanted your japa. Even in the hospital, your fingers was moving, pulling an invisible japa mala with the chanting of the transcendental names of Krishna on your lips. You lost your both foot, but you never lost your faith in Krishna. You never give up the holy names. Either every morning you will wheel yourself out of your room just to see the captivating, transcendental, loving Gauritai. I remember one day you called me and I took a bit longer than I normally do. But when I reached into your room, you asked me why I took so long. I showed you my ankle and said, today Papi is swollen more than usual. You stretched and reached for your medicine and said, put your foot on the bed. And then you put medicine on my ankle and you gently rubbed it, instructed me, go and rest. Your foot will get better. You showed me what a father love was like. Thank you, Papi, for showing me what strength is. Because in all your pain, you never showed weakness. You never, ever, ever showed weakness. You were always in good spirits. You always was. Thank you for showing me what being a devotee is all about. And thank you for reminding me that never to blame Sri Krishna when our problems arise. By looking at your last few months with us, you never give up on yourself and you never give up on Sri Krishna and the holy names. I know that the Lord will forever be at your side. To be absent from this world is to be present with Sri Krishna. Haribol.
Thank you very much. Nitai, do your honor.
I'm Nitai, the eldest grandson of Bishop Viparas. Over the past few years, you've just been saying, well, whenever we meet, you would say, usually just, question would be, are you married yet? Or where is your wife? Or what happened to your girlfriend you're talking to? And stuff like that. But the main thing that he was trying to bring across was, I think, was family. Family was a big part of his life, and I'd like to follow in those footsteps and never abandon my family or anyone in that regard, as he had done. I have a, who's this one?
Auntie Audra from Montreal.
Right, so I have some was from Auntie Audra from
Montreal.
So she says, Dada, my dear uncle, Krishna has greater plans for you. and you are now rid of all your sufferings in this material world. You are gone, but you will always stay engraved in our hearts. Thank you for the awesome childhood memories and for being an integral part of our growing up. You were a great, wise, and humble man who positively influenced so many lives. You will be sadly missed by all those who knew you. We pray that you have a smooth journey back to Godhead, and may Krishna guide and protect you and grant you eternal peace.
Thank you for that. I call upon Janaza, Priya, so that she can say a few words.
Honorable Seeram, everyone. In honor of my grandfather's life, I would like to take this short period of time to recall a memory I've always had with him. Anytime my family members and I, aka the best grandkid, would visit him, he would always say to do your best and work hard to fulfill your dreams, which showed that care he had for us as well as the positive things he'd wish for us to have. Even the other day, he emphasized this message to my cousin and I. He also showed a lot of care to others first instead of himself. With this in mind, I hope we can live up to these standards not only to make him happy, but for ourselves also. Also to remember the great times experienced with him, and to be happy for him now that he will be in a safer and more comfortable environment after all the great things he accomplished. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Everyone is here to honor a man who has dedicated his entire life to family and God. Today I would like to say a few words about family. I consider myself lucky to be one of his grandchildren. It's a blessing I will be grateful for the rest of my life. It is a challenge to speak today, but to put into words all the things I want to say about him. But I will share a few. Whenever I come to the temple, Papi will be sitting outside, chanting or eating lunch. And as soon as he sees me, he would say, "Who you?" in his deep voice. And I would just come up with a name on the spot, and we would both laugh together. Then he will tell me sit down, and he will tell me all his stories about his life. I will never forget him saying his iconic line, "Who they?" in his deep voice, whenever he heard someone in the kitchen or any noise. Don't talk for all the juices, sodas, and biscuits. We would all go in his fridge and take something, and he would never refuse any of us. Thank you so much, Papi, for everything, and I'll miss you and will never forget you.
So just to testify how much he put family in front of himself, a few days back, that was last Sunday, myself, Jonathan, and Anita, we had a conversation with him. So the first thing is like, your father is not well, I am going to die, I will be leaving soon. So please take care of yourself, take care of Jonathan, take care of Anita and the temple. So this is how much he emphasized on family. So even at the hospital on, that was Thursday, on Thursday, we had another conversation. So he said to Jonathan and Priya to be, what's the exact word? To be your bestest. And make sure I put education in front of everything, make sure you have a good education and become someone good in society. So, thank you.
Thank you. I call upon Jayu. few words of appreciation and offering.
Hello everybody. So today I'll be speaking a little bit to commemorate the life of my grandfather, Papi, Shamsair Boodoo. I would share a couple of brief experiences and thoughts about him to share with you all today. So first of all, I'd like to say that some of my greatest memories about him were coming to the temple, early in the morning and so on, and the favorite food that we would always like to eat, all of the grandkids and so on, they would be, the usual dal and rice. We'd enjoy that with Papi in the early morning after Arti. That was one of the best experiences as a kid that I could say that we had with him. Another thing that I can say about Papi as well is that he was a man that loved adventure. He would always love to spend time with us grandkids, especially sometimes he would want to go out for a road trip and so on, and he would say, Muna, that was his nickname for me, I guess. Up until this day, I still don't know what it means. So yeah, I would go on road trips and so on with Papi. He would show me all of the people around the country that he knew and that knew him, more specifically. Some that he couldn't even remember, but they recognized in him. That just goes to show, his recognition and his fame around the country, which is actually pretty good and something that I admired about him. Another thing that I've noticed about Papi throughout the years is that he's a very hard-boiled person, I always took a liking to him in the way that I always saw him as tough, and I always thought to myself, okay, I should strive to be tough like him. Up until the very end, I met him in the hospital a couple of days ago, and I saw him and he said, Muna, how you going? All this kind of thing. He said, I'm glad I'll come to take me out today, because I get fed up at this place. Carry me home, you understand? So, up until the very end, I respected the fact that he understood that death is just a part of life, and the fact that nothing in life is promised besides death, and the fact that he was able to stare that premise in the face and accept that was very respectable to me, and I admire that a lot. So I'll take this time to commemorate Papi, and let this be the day that we celebrate his life. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Thank you so much, and thank you each and every one of you all for sharing your heart through your wonderful words and appreciating and offering of love. Mausi, would you like to share some words, please?
Hare Krishna. So I will do the necessary ritual worship and respect of the body of Krishna Prabhu. I'll ask the devotees to sing.
I'm sorry for that. I'm so sorry. I just forgot, since yesterday we had planned that Vishnu Prabhu is going to share some words. Are you here, Vishnu Prabhu? Please, if you can. Sorry for that.
Hare Krishna, everyone. So I just want to share a little fun memory, or a few memories of Krishna Kripa Prabhu. And this morning I was thinking about him, and I was doing a little reading, from Srimad Bhagavatam, and I came across where Lord Rishabhdev said that one should not become a parent, mother or father, or spiritual master, unless they can actually deliver their family, their dependents, including becoming a demigod. And why so? Because of the fact that all these personalities are worshipable personalities. Your parents are worshipable, your demigods are worshipable, your guru is worshipable, and if they are not able to deliver you, then it becomes, more or less useless. So I was thinking about Krishna Kripa Prabhu and his family. And everybody in his family are devotees. They all have been practicing. I remember when I started to visit the temple in 1978, at that same time, Krishna Kripa Prabhu and his family would come. And he had a friend by the name of, I think, Jatan. And he would bring everyone to the temple at St. Augustine. I used to once spend weekends at the temple, and I used to have to leave on Monday morning in order to go to school. But when he started to visit, he told me one day, he said, "Here what? I will drop you home on Sunday night so you won't have to worry." And every weekend when he would come, he would drop me on his way back coming down to Devi. He would drop me at Prisad, where I lived. And I was just 16 years old at the time, so he would drop me, he would make sure and see that I get in a little track that was leading to my home, and then he would drive off. And his car would be overloaded with his family, his kids and his, other family members. And he always reminded me of that. Even in our last meeting, he said, "Vish, don't forget the nobody. I was the man who used to drop you home." And I also remembered on one instance, there's a picture, as you see on this brochure in the front, in his uniform. So, being a policeman was considered a very big person at the temple at the time, because we didn't have much people of influential status, coming at the temple. So he arranged one time for Plinko to come and spend a week at the temple. So when Plinko came to spend that week at the temple president just telling me, "Hear this, I'm putting you in charge to take care of the policeman's son." I never forget that. He said, you have to set a good impression for the policeman. While the temple was being built, there was a situation once when some of the people who were working on the building, they were actually smoking marijuana on the temple compound. And he happened to drop in around lunchtime that day. So all these workers, they took their lunch and they sat down and they're smoking. So Kripa woke up to the temple president and he said, "Listen, I'm smelling, marijuana here." So the temple president said, "What are you going to do for these people, they have the habit?" He said, No, I will lock up everyone right away." So he had to plead him and tell him, "No, please don't do that. Otherwise the temple will never build, if you lock them up." And then there was one instance, we came to see him, he was working at the Pinal police station. So that police station a little above the road with some steps and so. So we were down at the bottom of the stairway, the temple president, myself and another devotee. And he came down and he met us and they were discussing. And two guys broke out in a fight. And one of them, when he got away from the situation, he ran, failing to realize he ran into the police station. So when he ran up inside, he realized in the station, he started running down. So Kripa put the foot on him, stopping him. He said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I came in the wrong place." He said, "No, you're in the right place. You go there and do it." So he sent him back there. So the temple president asked him, "What will you do when you go up there?" He said, "No, I will let him go. I'll put 2 kicks in it." So he had a very strong personality, He was determined. He always said that, Prabhupada mission is our real business. And he was always a Prabhupada man, in that sense of the word. And ironically, this morning I was reflecting that today actually devotees there to perform his Antishti Karma departure, where he will be, his body will be leaving this planet. And today, actually, the 14th of November was the day that Srila Prabhupada, gave up his body in 1977. So it will be memory for, the family and for devotees to know that, somehow coincidentally or by the will of providence, that this situation happened. So those were some, fun memories with Krishna Prabhu, and as you know, I heard his children speaking about the gun. He even came one day I came to see him and he told me, he said, "Vish, anytime you're ready, we'll go up somewhere in the countryside and you will bust a few shots. I will teach you how to shoot, So he had that kind of personality. At the same time, too, he was very philosophically minded. He was a person who was always into, reading and preaching and so. And I'll be honest with you, on one instance, he was giving a lecture in Dao village, Urupuch. I never forget that. And he got so philosophical in this lecture that at one point I started to think, what's wrong with him? Who in this crowd going to really understand these fine intricacies that he's getting into? And he's talking about Lord Brahma's lifespan, and he's getting into all these fine details. But at the end of it all, he broke down everything and became very, very simplified in his presentation. He was very a fearless man, as everyone would have said. He was very, very caring, and he set a perfect example for anyone, for every one of us, to be an ideal grahasta, taking care of his family and giving them Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for that. So I just want to conclude with a few words from myself. I remember meeting him at the airport for the first time. That was like 24 years back. And as soon as I saw him, I touched his feet for blessing. And I think that's what got the approval for our marriage. I still feel that, because when I touched his feet and saw his face literally was, wow, what culture. Come, beta, come. And then we were talking, in the car and all that, and coming here, and then next day I start sitting with him, talking to him, and I remember that when he wanted to start a story, he had a face, and I knew that face is going to start a story soon. So he would gaze in the deep, in the distance, and narrow his eyes, his eyebrows, and start doing something like that. And then he'll shoot. I was like, wow, that's the moment. And I would go on for years. That went on for years until I had my belly full. I heard all the stories, and he would repeat. I say, I know that one, I know that one. So during my first visit, then I was skeptical. I was like, I don't know if he'll accept me as a son-in-law. He will not accept me. Maybe he has many options, and one of them, if I came to I was the only option. I mean, that's a good option. And then. So I was quite nervous, and I was like, all right, so you accept me? He's like, of course. I said, but I'm a Sindhi. Now, Sindhi is, in Hindu, in Indian, you get so much. You get Sindhi, Marathi, Gujarati, Punjabi. Maybe you all know what I'm doing. So I said, I'm a Sindhi. So I was waiting for his reaction. Like, oh no, you're a Sindhi. Oh wow, you're a Sindhi. Something. And he didn't know what Sindhi was, but he said something interesting. He said, you may be a Sindhi, or you may be a Bhindi. Bhindi is the lady finger that we eat. Right? You may be a okra. You may be a Sindhi or maybe a Bhindi, but I accept you as my son-in-law. And then, wow, that's something. I mean, he didn't ask me how much my bank balance was, whether I had work or no. I mean, he just fell in love with me, and so did I. And I was very, very impressed with so many things. We would talk, and always he was very grave when saying that. Make sure that you are a good devotee. Make sure your wife also. Make sure your kids, when they are born, that you give them Krishna consciousness properly, and moreover, educate them, make them very good human beings, because you always told me that there should be a balance between being a good human being and between being a devotee. You always insisted on that, and of course, he loved to take me around for tourism. I mean, he did a lot for me. And the best part was, whenever I would call him, he would say, Kaisan hai bitwa? Just these three words, and that would make my day. I would be like, wow. So sweet to hear from him, these three wonderful words. So I really thank him from the depth of my heart, and I'm happy to be here in assisting in saying farewell and goodbye. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So while we perform in the Seer rites to the body to prepare for his departure, I'll ask the devotees, I think Agni to sing one bhajan that we normally sing in commemoration of departed Vaishnavas. Saparshad Bhagavad Janta Viraha Vilap. It's a song that we sing commonly known as to the devotee as Vyanila. The first few words of the song, where the devotee sings Narottam Das Thakur about his feelings in separation from the devotees of the Lord. So while they are doing that, after the bhajan, they'll continue with kirtan, and then we'll have a final viewing of the body after we do the needful here, and then we'll depart to the hospital for the final cremation.
Yeah.
Should we start?
Jiyanilo Premadana Karuna Aha,
Anybody who wants to come and take the last person, last view, you can come ahead and offer a flower. We will be departing now, so we will go to the back.
Mais fácil, ó. Just go right anywhere in the box number 6. Watch this closer. Só de vai, After, when I'm
Thank you.